So Southline District just came out with the 3 out of 3 map expansion. So we're going to check it out today. So first, whenever you look over here, you have your spawners. And then once you come over here, we have a crossing. And then we have a little shopping area, like a store or something. And then once you go over here, you have locomotive shops, which is really cool. I like it. You can tell that the top is like weathered-ish. And then if you look on the side, it's weathered as well, which makes it give a little bit of a better look. I have locomotives in here just to show how it would look with a bunch of locomotives in it. We got some foreign power right here. But no, over here, it's just a giant locomotive shop. And then you go over here, and then you have like a little rail car, like shop-ish. And then the walls are weathered, the roof's weathered. Here's the inside. It's just hollow. That's basically it. And then you have the little wheels over here to show that it's kind of a rail car area. And then here's a crossing. The road goes all the way up there, comes down here, goes to the car warehouse. You have a turntable here as well. Like, there you go. It spins around. But there's a little road thing right there. I don't know why that's there. But you just kind of have locomotive shops over here. But you follow this track, and then you come over here. You have this little stretch of track that goes somewhere. But that's basically it. And you follow this track, and it's just a storage track or something. You have a little crossover right here. This is bugging out a little bit because you have to go over here for it to actually load in for some reason. I don't know why. But you just follow that. It's just a little storage track. You got the crossover. You got a bunch of switches over there for the locomotive shops. And then you got this switch that goes into the main yard. Let me switch it back over. So then you have this crossing over here as well. And it's just a yard. It's a pretty big, decent yard. It's not small, but it's like a medium-sized yard. You have these weird storage tanks. I don't know what these are. But I just put rail cars in here for the aesthetics to show you what it would look like. Let me turn this off. Alright. Well, that's what the yard looks like. And then, let's see, it looks a lot better with cars inside of it than just basic tracks. But you follow this road, and it goes over there. There's a crossing. And then it goes all the way down there, and follows that little piece of track over there. And then if you follow the road, there's little houses on the side of it. There's a little sidewalk area. That road goes somewhere. We keep following it. You got this little area right here. And then we have this other house. Those are only 2 houses. And then you follow it. And you got a little crossing over here. This is the other side of the yard. You can hear the locomotives that fell through the freaking map because the game bugged. That little switch right there, it bugged out and shoved them through the map, which made me a little bit angry. But you got a crossing right here. You just got your main yard. But that road is super long. But there's the crossing, switch. That goes into the yard. And then you follow this road even more. And I'm going to switch that. And if you follow the road and then this little rail line, it ends right there. And then we got this little storage area that I find really cool. And then we got these little barns over here. But then, after you look at these barns, you'll notice that there's like a house over here. Like there's multiple houses over here. If we go over here, just to show you how long this freaking road is, it stretches, and then we have these little warehouses, maybe, I don't know. Then we have the houses over here, little standard houses. And then here's another house over here, and then you have a little crossing. They said they don't have the crossings in yet for some reason, but I don't know why. Here's a bypass area. It goes over that long stretch of road. And then more warehouses over here. Then we have a whole entire residential neighborhood. And then we have warehouses over there. Here's the bypass. Here's the barns. There's a little area over there. But as soon as you go over here, there's an industrial area. They got pipes, they got warehouses to put your box cars. I'm going to turn it on so you can see what the industries are. We got coding, logistics, air logistics, AG shipping, whatever that is. Yeah, AG shipping. That's for the pipes. And then you go over here, Eric logistics. And then you have these little storage units. They like put something in for like storage units. And then this is Nathan's logistics for like box cars or cinder beams. And then Eric logistics. That's basically, and then this goes over here, and that's AT chemicals, which I feel like that's going to be for tankers, like tank cars, instead of box cars. But that's basically it for the little industrial area. You can just see all of it, just to show the track area and layout. But that's basically it for this industrial area. It's pretty cool. And then they got this little crossing over here. But yeah, that's basically it for the industrial area. So then it goes back into the main line. Not really the main line, but the little siding area. As you see, if you go over here, you'll find it. There's a switch, and then it goes over here. But now we have a giant crossing right here that's right next to a busy road. They, like I said again, they haven't put in the crossings yet because some things, I guess they wanted to get this out of the way. But we got a giant neighborhood right here. It's kind of like street running, but not the same. The tracks aren't in the middle of the road. It's just it has crossings. And then you have your little streets of houses. And then there's only 2 crossings. And then it changes back over to single track over here. Which I feel like that's a siding-ish. Because if you look, it goes all the way over here. And then it ends back over here. So it might be like a siding to put back, like to store the trains that are about to enter the yard, maybe. I don't know, for OPS sessions. But look at this. We have a giant roundabout with a bypass going over it. Which this is awesome, in my opinion. Let's just have a look under this really quick. But here's a road right there, right there, right there, right there. But I find this little roundabout really cool. It has this little crossing right here. And then if you follow this, it has like a little trail sidewalk thing maybe that follows the tracks, and then it ends over here. We go back over here and we follow the tracks. They go all the way down here. We have a little road that comes out. Then we have another bypass right here, which is really cool. There's a lot of bypasses for some reason. But you can see this road stretches all the way down here, and then it goes over here to have a crossing that goes over to this little neighborhood-ish right next to the railroad tracks. Then we have these like apartment, government building things. I don't really know. They might be houses, but that's a lot of windows for a house. But over here, like I said, there's a neighborhood. And then if we go back over here, there's a switch. And it switches from single to double track. And then you have your little Amtrak station over here. Then if we go over here, there's like this little apartment block area. I don't know what you call it, but it's really cool. They have 2 apartments there. Then they have this weird warehouse-ish place. I don't know. But then you go back over here, and then it turns into double to single track. And then you have this little bypass area. I'm going to free cam to show you the bottom of it. Looks really cool. You can see, let me move my character really quick. But as you can see, it has that road right there. And then it has the tracks. The Amtrak station single to double. And back over to double to single. But that's basically it. And then they have this giant parking garage with apartments on the side of it. Or it's just basically a giant parking garage for apartments or something. I don't know. And then we have this apartment over here. But here's that little area with the main road, the parking lot. And then it looks like we have a tennis court right here. I think that's what it is, a tennis court. And then we have this little parking garage. Oh, you can see where they shaded it so it looked like it was like dark in there. That's basically it for that building. It's just an apartment building on both sides, and it has a parking garage in the middle. Here's that apartment, those apartments. And then we have this little weird area. It looks like a hospital or a clinic or maybe like a hotel. Then here's that other style apartment. But that's basically it for this area. Just apartments, parking garages, and then we have another tennis court over here. And then we go over here and we have this giant railroad crossing. And I don't know why the gates are down for some reason. There's no trains nearby, but they might have just done that for some reason. As you can see, it's a pretty big rail crossing. And then it's just basically the same Lancaster all the way through. They put new crossing gates down, which are really cool. But that's just basically it for Lancaster. The bridge is still the same. The siding's still the same. The signals are still the same. But if you go all the way down here, but like I was saying, this crossings are switched. They're like newer and they sound better and they're just better. But you come down here, it looks the same until you get all the way down here, and then you have your same little industries over here. And then once you go a little bit farther down, you'll see right here it switches from single to double tracks. And then they have a little crossing right here, like I said in the beginning, that they haven't updated the game yet to put the crossings on there. So you go back over here, you have a little industry area. Looks like they have another crossing. And then you have Plano Logistics. It switches off of the main line, and then if you come over here, you'll see it's just Plano Logistics, and then it has a switch over here that goes over to this Steel Farming Solutions and then Steel Chemicals. But if we go back over here, it's just basically switched in this double track. Then you come over here and you have your little Amtrak station, and then it's another crossing over here, and then there's a new signal right there, and then it's double track, and it goes all the way over here. And then you follow this, and it turns into double track to single track. You have a little signal over here, and then a crossing. And then if you follow this back over here, they have little industries back over here. These are new ones. Steel recycling, and then steel area housing, which I think those are for center beams. Then you have this little crossing over here, and then if you follow this over here, you have the same intermodal facility. And then if you come over here, you have the switches, and then look at that. You have a railroad diamond. So it's not just one or two near Chester area. It's 3 diamonds now that go into this little steel road works. I think it's for the... I don't know, actually. It might be for the flat cars with tractors on them or something. I don't know. But then we follow this over here, and then this kind of changed a little bit. You can see that the little tracks are different. I'm going to move up here so I can go on free cam to show y'all. The bottom is different, and then the sides are different. They just kind of changed the underside of it. They have a new rail bridge for the railroad tracks. It's wooden now, so it doesn't look as bland. But that's basically it. It looks kind of cool under here. I'm going to get some good shots of trains whenever I record the videos for y'all. But no, that's it for this area. Oops, sorry about that. And then, like I said, they have the new crossings. For some reason, I don't know why they're on this side, but not on that side. That's just weird. But we'll come back over here, and as you can see, they added new trees, and then there's the crossing, and then it's just the same through here. It's the same Lancaster, except for those little tiny changes back there, and the whole new big map expansion. It wasn't really big. But here you got the new crossings, well, gates,